So just kicking off today, so Bank ID has been the center of authentication in Norway for 18 years
19.
plus, 19 years, 19 years, so 18 years plus, I was right. And we are lucky to have Heikki Henriksen, who's the CTO of Bank ID, with us. He was with us last year to talk about the authentication work that they've been doing in Norway, but we're lucky to have him here today to talk about what they're doing with ID Wallet. So please help me welcome Heikki Henriksen.
Thank you, Megan. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all okay. Since this is the first session, I'm going to start off with getting some activity. So could you please raise a hand on me if you are awake? Ah, perfect. That sounds better. One more relevant. Could you please raise your hand if you are from Europe? Not too many, but I'm going to make this relevant for both Europeans and everybody else. So I'm Heikki. I'm the CTO of Bank ID Bank Accept in Norway. Very briefly what we do. Bank ID is, of course, the reason I'm here to talk about you. We handle digital identity in Norway. The Bank Accept part is actually a part where we're handling all card processing and digital payments in Norway as well. So we are kind of working with both identity, authentication, signing, and payments. So I was at Authenticate last year. Then I spoke about the work we have been doing on our FIDO2, what is now called passkey solution. But this was on my last slide. And these were the things that I said we were going to work on in the future. So first, of course, is how to help digital outsiders. We need to get everybody involved when we can create new digital solutions. And currently, we actually have over 500,000 people in Norway who can't use public and private services because of some reason they are not able to get an bank ID. We're talking asylum seekers and elderly as well. So that is something that we have continue working on. This second part is the work we are doing on digital verified and binding identities, and having a system where we scan passports with a phone and do a face recognition based on the image we pull from the passport. And then the IDES digital wallet. So how are we doing here right now? I would say we're in yellow on helping digital outsiders. Working a lot with the Norwegian government on that. We are now actually onboarded over 1 million people using our ID check solution. And in Norway, due to regulations, all the banks had to do re-verification of the users. So that's something that we have been helping them with. And of course, digital wallet is why I'm here today. We did say last year that device-bound passkeys is really important to us, and it still is. And there was a lot of good talks yesterday, like Lindemann from Knock Knock and Pedro from Thales, covering that aspect. So I'm not going to push too hard on that today, but let's get back to that in the plenary tomorrow. So we still cover, with Bank ID in Norway, 99% of all Norwegian adults. And very briefly, for those who didn't see me last year, we have created a system which started out as being used by every Norwegian net bank as an authentication mechanism. And we spread that out to actually now be an innovation for a basis for innovation and the entire digitalization of the Norwegian society. So we are still owned by all the Norwegian banks, but we have branched out within the private sector and public sector as well. So currently in Norway, there are 16,000 available services that use Bank ID as an authentication mechanism. We are an approved trust service by IDES, so we are regularly audited on that. And we're also notified on the EU trust list, so that we hope that we can make usage of Bank ID and other areas as well when we get there. So the focus of what we are doing now is very much on our Bank ID app. So this is a graph showing how much we've actually been increasing our usage, especially from January 2022 and from September and last year when we started using our biometric solution based on FIDO2. So we are now closing up on 2 million users for our BankID app. And that is using FIDO2 for biometric authentication, device-bound passkeys. And it currently has almost half of our entire user base. But we have managed to get agreement with all the banks so that we will be available to 4.5 million users in 1 year. And then when we have the BankID app and we are getting it spread out to all our the Norwegian user base, we need to look at how can we increase and better the usage of it and also give more services. So looking at BankID as a wallet, it's really important to get closer to the user and put actually the control back to the user. So we are piloting and launching a number of services right now. And we know, I will get back to that as well, but we know that regulation and standards take time. So we are just starting building the services that we see are usable and needed. And then we will have to help make them within the regulation standards that come, and also give our input based on actual usage to those regulation standards. So, of course, getting feedback before freezing regulation and embrace this paradigm of having a digital wallet in your pocket of everybody in Norway. And we look at this wallet not as a revolution, but continuous evolution and creating smaller services and getting where we are to maybe in 5, 6 years, maybe 7 as well. But starting out now is really important to us. And of course, like I already mentioned, FIDO2 and a basis for the authentication is modernizing BankID as well. So these are what we look at as our building blocks for the innovation that will happen in the next years. And we use that BankID app as an hub for these services, as a foundation for providing a lot of other services as well. At the same time, we have a trusted service with electronic signing. It's heavily PKI-based. It's not really relevant to FIDO2, but I can probably talk to that for those who are interested. We are modernizing it right now to get qualified electronic signatures, which are the highest standards in the European framework of regulations. And that is using short-lived certificates that may create other services as well. So these are the proof that the user who is actually providing any credential or presentation to other relaying parties, they are who they are. So one of the things we are using here is OIDC, because we have created a platform for distributing BankID to all relaying parties through OIDC. So that is really close to us. I had some good talks last year with the people from OpenID Foundation. I really hope to see them here again this year, but they were not here. So verifiable credentials is a central part of the platform that we are now creating, or getting the user in control. So by using OIDC and an authentication mechanism, the user can approve of giving their credentials or information to different other services. So the user is in full control. And part of this standard is something called RAR, or Rich Authorization Requests, which are really fine-grained permissions that mean that the user can say, okay, this service really not need my personal identification number, SSN, if you like. But so they can provide it, only that for a short-lived time to that service or relaying partner. Other parts of the standards that we are looking into are also OIDC for verifiable presentations and self-issued OpenID providers. That means that you have safe proof, it's tamper evident, it's cryptographically signed, so that users can actually, the users are still in control of what they are showing, and the relaying parties can really trust the information they are getting. There is a lot of talk in Europe and elsewhere about decentralization. And there are a lot of kind of levels of decentralization. So we are looking into part of this, like self-sovereign identities, SSIs. But what is important is that you need to have the chain of trust from an area where we are really certain, 100% certain, that the user who uses the service is actually who they say they are. And that is what we have in place today with BankID. So we need to have somewhere a chain of trust where we can actually get that proof all the way out to a decentralized service. There are a lot of talks right now within EU on ADAS 2.0, and the regulations are not still set in stone, so it might require that the EDI, the European Digital Identity Wallet, will have to store keys and secrets on the hardware, on certified hardware. And today, as of October 2023, there doesn't exist a single certified hardware right now. So this thing will take time. So a little bit about what European Digital Identity is, the EDI. These are harmonized rules for both identity, authentication, and data sharing, which really put the user in control. So within this framework, there are a lot of different roles that are defined right now. You have the PID provider, which is the provider of the proof that the user is who they say they are. You have the issuer, who's then attesting attributes that still claim that the user are who they say they are. You have the wallet provider, which is the company or service that actually puts a wallet in the hand of the users. So this will have to be then a controlled system to actually both store all the information about the user, like attestations, and handle how all this data flows between the user and all the different services. And this proof have to be signed, so you have to have the service provider, trust service provider, for Q signatures and Q seals. And then, of course, the third-party relaying party will then have to attest and verify that these attributes are signed and proven. So within our BankID wallet that we are now pushing out to all our users, we will use FIDO2 or device-bound passkeys for a large part of these transactions. We are doing that right now. And we also will use that to actually exchange data out to the different users. So then a little bit about where do we see that this will go. It will take a lot of time. There are a lot of acts, recommendation, frameworks that is ongoing work on right now within the EU. And then they will have to be tenders for who will create the wallets, who will be the providers, etc. My expectation is that this will not be in the market fully and entirely regulated service until 2027, 2030. So there are a lot of moving targets here right now. So there are architecture reference frameworks that is going on. There are regulation. First standards will be set in stone. Yeah, they are delayed, we know that. It was going to be ready already. And all these technical requirements and standards that also need to come in place. So I think the most important part of this is actually the reference architecture framework. And I think right now they say the work on that will be concluded in 1 year, but personally, I don't think that will be the case. It will just be further delayed there. And then the area about how to separate the identity and trust services, that is also ongoing. It's going to take a lot of time. So at the same time, we have a lot of different organizations working on standards and data models, like the W3C and OpenID Foundation and ISO. So we are looking at all of these areas because we really have to align the standards that will come. So a little bit about what we are doing right now. These are pilots that we are about to launch in Norway, and we have been testing them for the last year now. And these are done without waiting for any regulation or standards. We just want to get things out there and see how it works. So the first pilot we are doing is with Posten. It's a Norwegian National Postal Service. So within the BankID app, we are using signed credentials. So the user can take the BankID app to Posten and actually show the digital identity in a physical setting. And that means they can prove to the branch that they are who they say they are. And they can either pick up their own mail, parcels based on that, or they can also use it as a proof of authorization for a different person. So with our system, they can say, oh, I don't have time to pick up that packet, and talk to their girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife and say, can you do it for me? And within our system, they can then give that person the proof of authorization to actually pick it up for them. And Posten will recognize it. And then we have the wine monopoly, Vinmonopolet in Norway, which is the only place where you can buy alcohol of above 4.7%. They are really strict on having age verification. So I remember they do some kind of fun things within every now and then, like providing lollipop for everybody with under 25 who actually voluntarily show their ID. So it makes the work for the cashier easier. So there we are also doing now pilot, where the user can actually just scan their digital credential from the BankID app, so that the wine monopoly really know that they are old enough to actually buy liquor and wine. The third pilot we're currently involved in, that is within the ADAS 2.0 pilot. And it's a consortium of several governments and several companies. Thales and Norwegian government are among them, and many more, where we are piloting the payment use case on how to do digital payments with digital identity in within ADAS 2.0. And I have to say that is going quite slow, but we're hopeful that that will actually give a lot of learning into what it takes to get a good system across Europe as well. So we do say, kind of build it and they will come. It's kind of an open source thinking. I have a large open source background myself. So we need an open environment for our own services. So everything we do, it should be publicly available. And that will both simplify distribution and adaptation out in the market. And this opens up for all kind of innovation to expand on the digital society. So just some possible use cases listed up here. Some we will build ourselves. Some will be open to whoever will want to take a position within that. But these are kind of just things to get the mind started on the possibility with having the user in control of their data and what we can build there. So it's everything from within the payments area, prescriptions, any permits, any insurance proof. Yeah, a lot of things that is really possible here. So lastly, some important points to consider. Digital inclusion is still relevant. It is still really important. That is something that is not only important in Norway. I think it's in Norway, since we are such a digital society, it's easier to spot the things where users can't get the service they need. But this will be more and more a problem for the entire world as we build digital services. All of these frameworks, all of these regulations, we really need to be close on them, on both learning which direction they go and how we can provide the proper input to those. And I would say there was a meeting in Vienna last week on ENISA, where one of the topics that came up was on business models. Because there are a lot of companies that want to build services based on these frameworks. And companies can't build them without making money on them. So that is something that we also have to be consider when going forward. And then we come to a time where we can actually utilize all our services across borders, first in Europe and maybe broader than that. But like I've been going on a little bit about as well, all of the above will take time. So we have to be patient, we have to take it step by step, and we will get there. Thank you.
We have a few minutes for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Somebody has a question. Okay.
Hi. I know you've done some work with decentralized identity and verifiable credentials and worked with Authenticate and some others. Any update on the progress of that initiative?
We did some early testing with Authenticate, that is right. We did some sessions with them at RSA in San Francisco last year. Currently, we see that other areas are more important to us than exactly that kind of testing. So it's not something that, those use cases are not something that we are focusing on right now. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
I understand that there's some speculation that once verifiable credentials are in use everywhere, that it might serve the purpose to authenticate human beings. Do you see that happening?
I'm not sure.
This is in contrast to using FIDO.
Yeah.
Today, we are all at the FIDO Alliance,
Yeah.
and we are using the FIDO protocol to authenticate human beings.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, a verifiable credential provides an attestation from an authoritative source about the identity of a person and other attributes. Is there a possibility that at some point a VC might supplant FIDO?
I don't think so. The thing is, with verifiable credentials, you have to have a short-lived lifetime of those credentials. Just in case the the digital identity that is used for attesting that verifiable credentials the first time, if that gets revoked, then you can no longer trust the proof of the ultimate credentials. So we still have to do re-authentications, and I think FIDO is a large part of that.
Good question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.